Things just keep going from bad to worse for one Letitia James. Now she's got Tom Homan all over her, you know what. And this, folks, ain't pretty. Welcome to the program, everyone. We get so much to get to today. I am Trish. Regan. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. It is Tom Homan versus Letitia James. And guess what? I am going to put money on one person over another. Just saying, you know where my allegiance lies. But, Tishy, she's getting a little bit nervous. She didn't appreciate the cameras stalking her outside her house, one of her brownstones today.
Good morning, Miss James.
As my grandmother would say, she was a sight for sore eyes. Anyway, we'll get to more on all of that coming up in today's program, plus the family secrets that are coming out. Wow, we're talking serious criminal past here. Yikes. Meanwhile, Kash Patel's FBI at it again, exposing a massive gambling ring. Anybody here a fan of Miami Heat? Well, you're going to want to listen up to this one. CNN is getting all kinds of offers. Well, 3 specifically from the exact same company. CBS, Paramount, wants to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. God help them. I don't think they actually want CNN. There's going to be some kind of merger with CBS and CNN. You get talent that's freaking out as we speak, and lefties are losing it over that ballroom. God forbid you do anything that makes the joint look a little bit better, right? They don't really want it. Whoopi Goldberg lying again.
Your taxes are probably going to be paying for that.
That ballroom.
I mean, it's kind of kooky.
No, you know what's kooky? You trying to lie, because Donald Trump has said over and over and over again, he's got private funding for the thing. And by the way, it's pretty. Just saying. Good to have you here, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. If you haven't, do me the favor. Please make sure that you sign up, you subscribe. It is so important. I can't even begin to tell you. We're in the top 100 right now, and that is all thanks to you. That is all thanks to your commitment, and I'm just so impressed by everything that you have been able to do. So thank you for that. I want to get to, again, as I said, our top story, none other than that one Letitia James. Letitia James versus Tom Homan. Tom's like, hey, you cannot be endangering my ICE agents' lives, okay? Because somebody's going to get hurt in all of this. Letitia, enough, baby, enough. And she was caught out right side her home, as my grandmother would always say, right? Like, sight for sore eyes. But she had her red on. Well, as do I. Anyway, take a look. Letitia coming out of some brownstone she owns.
Good morning, Miss James. Miss James, do you have any comments with the ICE raids happening downtown? Does the AG's office have any opportunity to do any?
We sent out information. We need video. Thank you.
What does that mean? What does that mean? We need video? Thank you. What does that mean? Letitia, explain yourself, would you please? Please. Or maybe not. Maybe you don't want to know more. Anyway, here, I'm going to get to Tom's declaration of war, if you would, on one Letitia James. But here, take a look at what she's actually done. Newsmax reporting on this late last night, saying that the New York attorney James has actually created this online portal for anyone that sees ICE agents anywhere, so you can report them. The thinking was that this would somehow protect people. If you've ever been to Canal Street, it's quite a scene. It's in sort of the Chinatown district of New York City, and Canal Street is where you can buy kind of any fake knockoff good. It's bad from an intellectual property standpoint, right? And it's bad in that it's, clearly illegal, but then also you have a lot of people that are illegal that are selling all of this merch. So if you want a fake Louis Vuitton, a fake Chanel, a fake Cartier, a fake Rolex, you go to Canal Street and you'll be able to find it. Well, what tends to happen as the cops come in, these guys, and they're usually guys, they'll just like roll up their shops, or they'll like shut down, the door on the metal door on these shops, and like all of a sudden nobody can come in. And so a bunch of videos were getting posted of how this was happening. And Letitia James, instead of saying, okay, yeah, we do need to sort of clean up Canal Street, her response is to say, I'm going to create an online portal and I'm going to make sure that everybody can report all of this stuff. New York Attorney James on Wednesday unveiling an online portal for residents to tattle on immigration and custom enforcement activities. Newsmax writes, one day after federal agents raided Manhattan's Canal Street, a hotbed of counterfeit goods, indeed, and arrested 9 illegal aliens from Africa. Because God forbid you arrest anybody who is here illegally doing illegal stuff. Like, for some reason, we're just supposed to tolerate it all. James is encouraging residents, you see, to submit evidence of federal government action in New York State. They write, adding in her release, but a press release, of course, every New Yorker has a right to live without fear or intimidation. Like, they're New Yorkers, right? You come here from Africa, you decide to engage in illegal activity, and she says she's there to protect you because really you're a New Yorker. If you witnessed or documented ICE activity yesterday, I urge you to share that footage with my office. We are committed to reviewing these reports and assessing any violations of the law. You want to know who's in violation of law? The people that are there selling the illegal counterfeit goods. By the way, like, that in and of itself, the counterfeit goods is a problem. And then they're here illegally and they're doing something illegal. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. The form also lets users upload up to 5 photos and 5 video links. She wants to make sure she has proof. So you heard her saying all that, right? You heard her saying all that. Oh my goodness, my goodness gracious. Okay, so this woman is just trying to set up, dare I say, some kind of civil war between the feds and the state. I mean, I don't know how else you want to explain this, but I'm going to tell her until she's blue in the face, hey, Tishy baby, you don't have any jurisdiction here. Because you see, Congress has charged the federal government with making sure that they control the borders. And when people are here illegally, fine, you can say we're not going to cooperate, but you can't actually get in the way of it. You can't actually impede, okay? That's where you are on dangerous ground. The Hill writing on this story as well, as you can see there. And I'll tell you guys, Tom Homan's not having any of it. Watch.
They're all over this. Now they're looking at, impediment charges, looking at who's funding this stuff, right? Because I'm telling you, it's a matter of time. And I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it because I truly believe it's a matter of time before an ICE agent's ambushed and killed. Because we're letting people know where enforcement activities are occurring. And they're looking for the worst of the worst. The last thing we want to do is give a bad guy, the worst of the worst, a heads up that ICE is down the street. I go to bed every night and I pray for every man and woman of ICE and Border Patrol to go home safe to their families. I buried too many ICE agents in my career and Border Patrol agents. This has to stop. So Pam Bonnie's all over us. I know DOJ's all over this. We'll hold people accountable. This cannot happen. It's disgusting. I can't believe what's going on in this nation today. I wake up every morning in disbelief that people want to call the law enforcement officers the bad guys and the criminal public safety threats the victims. It's ridiculous. It's all upside down. But we're going to keep doing this job and keep President Trump's promise to American people.
Gosh, I mean, it really is upside down, isn't it now, guys? When you're living in a world where that is somehow, where Letitia James, the Attorney General of the state of New York, feels that she's going to be out there protecting the criminals as opposed to protecting the everyday New Yorkers. I mean, we've seen some of the horrible tragedies, right, that have happened on New York City subways and elsewhere, the violence level being out of control, not just in New York, but obviously in Chicago, in LA, in San Francisco, in Memphis, Tennessee, where, by the way, they're welcoming Donald Trump, welcoming the National Guard with open arms, even in Washington, D.C., welcoming the help with open arms, because you would think they would want that. I mean, hey, you guys are Dems. You want all the money you can get your hands on, right? Here he is offering to help you control your crime levels, and yet you're going to fight it tooth and nail. That's what we're seeing over and over and over again. And I'll just say, you know what? She's out of line. She is a dumb woman. In my estimation, probably guilty of all of the mortgage fraud allegations that are being thrown at her. She is trying to go after Donald Trump, or actually formally did, with the very things that she is accused of doing. Okay, so Letitia is, how shall we say? Oh, forgive me, I don't want to get too off color, but let's go to Dan Goldman, because he is the New York representative who basically carries every Democrat talking point for you. He is the guy who was carrying Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's water all the way up the hill and then some, and here he is carrying Letitia's. Oh, we can't possibly arrest criminals that are here illegally in the state of New York. Now, why would we do that?
Deporting them without proper due process. Now they are coming to the streets of New York City, and they are doing it intentionally. They are doing it to terrorize New Yorkers, to terrorize our communities, to install fear in New Yorkers. It is unacceptable and it must stop. This is not immigration enforcement. This is lawless terror designed to incite violence, to create a pretext for Donald Trump to send the military into New York City. And
Yeah. You keep telling yourself that. You keep telling yourself that, buddy. This is what they're about, right? They're trying to say, oh, they're going to send the National Guard and then they're going to steal the election. Not my words, theirs. They've said it multiple times. You've heard it from Pritzker over and over again. You've heard it from Whoopi Goldberg over and over again. It's really kind of bonkers, actually. But this is what they do because they're trying to intimidate. They're trying to scare you. And in the process, innocent people get hurt. Innocent people are the ones getting hurt. Let me move my shot over there so I can be center stage. How do you like that? Magic. Okay, Letitia James is freaking out. She did her first appearance since getting indicted, her first rally for none other than Comrade Mendami, and I don't even know what to tell you about that. A communist winning the city of New York. Well, that'll teach them. Because New York is going to get really ugly really, really fast. Anyway, Letitia is totally unhinged because of everything that's going down. It's kind of funny to watch. And I want to compare and contrast with how she then acted like 24 hours later, because apparently the PR team got to her and said, you know, Tishy, honey, you might be a little too excited.
To be attacked for just doing your job. But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity. And so I stand on solid rock. And I will not bow. I will not break. I will not bend. I will not capitulate. I will not give in. I will not give up. You come for me, you gotta come to all of us. All of us. Every single one of us. We're all in this together. You see, I've learned to stand on the shoulders of my ancestors who've been before, who came before me and who weathered the storm. And despite being seared with scars, they survived. And if they can survive, so will we. So over the last few days, I've summoned their strength and their courage. And I will keep fighting for justice. I will keep fighting for New Yorkers. I will keep fighting the aggressive policies of Washington, D.C., and I will not stop.
I mean, she clearly won't stop. Sorry about that. She's not really fighting for New Yorkers, let's be really clear. I mean, if you go back to what some of her statements were in that little online portal she created, she said she's fighting for New Yorkers. However, these are people that are from here, from Africa illegally, then committing crimes. So how exactly is she fighting for New Yorkers? She's not, okay? She's not. And she's got all kinds of struggles that she's dealing with. I mean, she's got a family history that, let's just say, leaves a little to be desired. A couple of nieces who have been in trouble with the law, big time trouble with the law. We got Letitia James, criminal kin, who have been charged 11 times in 5 years. But they keep on getting off easy. That's the headline according to the New York Post. And when you look at some of the stats, you're like, now why would that be? Now why does she really have that kind of influence? Here's a couple of them. They're actually sisters, believe it or not. There's like at least a 20-year time span in between the two of them. Anyway, if you want to look at the whole kit and caboodle of the family, got a nice little graphic here, once again, courtesy of the New York Post. You got New York Attorney General Tishy baby, Aunt Tish, who's right at the tippy top, and she buys everybody houses. Allegedly, with very attractive mortgage rates, because she doesn't actually, allegedly, admit what the houses are going to be. So she's got one that went to Nakia Thompson, and then a bunch of the other grandnieces, good to have an auntie like Tish, huh? Live in the other house in Norfolk, Virginia. One is Shamise, did I say that right? Thompson. And then there's Kayla. Oh, they also go by the last name Hairston. And then there's one other in there. Anyway, they've done a deep dive on this, and it's really concerning because they've got quite a, as I said, criminal past. And I don't think that reflects necessarily that well on the AG. I also think there are serious questions about how they keep getting off. And that also does not reflect so well on the AG. In the case of one Kayla baby, apparently she was a juvenile, so they decided they could let her off the hook for the malicious wounding that she engaged in August. However, apparently she then tried to get a weapon at a later time, so that was a big deal and became another issue from a criminal perspective. They did manage to somehow drop these charges. The Norfolk Commonwealth attorney, a guy named Ramin Fatehi, a Democrat, said the prosecutors actually didn't know at the time who she was, but they later decided to drop the juvenile charges. They pleaded them down to a misdemeanor, and they did so because, you know, they didn't want to somehow hurt her opportunity going forward. They said that the charges were fair to be dropped because they did not want to damage her and thus society for the rest of eternity. But one legal observer who spoke to the Post said, you know what, this is not normal. Like, this is just actually not normal. Most people don't actually get their charges dropped like that. So why would Letitia's grandniece get hers dropped? That's a curious question. Apparently they sought some clarification on this in the New York Post, and they didn't really get to first base. But one person said that, you know, she did have a rather violent criminal history, and thus she shouldn't have had these things dropped. There's, quote, nothing I saw that explains why the prosecutor would not go forward with some sort of consequence for this behavior. This is according to Andrew Kersey, who's a former prosecutor in Fairfax County and who looked at all of these court documents. And he said prosecutors have a lot of power and they can be merciful, but they just don't drop charges like that. It's not like boom, presto, all of a sudden, you know, you're off the hook. In June of last year, while still on bond, weeks after her gun bust, apparently Thompson Hairston was arrested for grand larceny after stealing around $1,600 worth of merchandise from a Walmart store in Norfolk, according to court documents. These are the allegations there. So again, like, this is like really like not good. I mean, if you're the Attorney General, I'm sorry. Like, now, what are you doing? Like, harboring criminals in your various homes that you get with allegedly overly deflated mortgage rates? It's a little weird. So I want to also mention that there's one more in here. Where do we go? Okay, so nothing explains why this would have happened. That's what they're saying. That, you know, there's another one. Okay, so I knew there was one more. I'm getting them all confused. There's so many grandnieces. But one of them actually got in trouble because she was barred after somehow being ordered to pay $2,500 in restitution to Walmart and Sam's Club. So she was barred from these stores according to an arrest warrant that the Post reviewed. So what are these ladies doing living in her home, I wonder? She says, oh, I'm being a good aunt. I'm being a good aunt. As for dropping the weapons charges, let's see if we can pull this back up here for you. The prosecutor said he was confident that they had the evidence to convict Ms. Hairston. If they had it, they would have done so. So they're saying, well, we didn't really have the evidence. I don't know what's going on here, but I think it's all pretty darn bad. Here's another one. So this is Nakia Thompson. She's the older grandniece, 36 years old. She allegedly was busted for stealing nearly $2,000 worth of merchandise from Macy's and Dillard's in Chesapeake, Virginia. We hear about how shoplifting is becoming such a problem, and like so many stores like have to pull out of these places. And then you're like, oh wait, they're all Letitia's grandnieces that are involved in this extensive crime ring of some sort. Kayla's big sister, Nakia Thompson, 36 years old, has an extensive rap sheet of her own, they write. She's a fugitive of North Carolina because she failed to finish her probation, and so she took off her auntie's house where she's been hanging out after having stolen, as we said, $2,000 worth of merchandise from Macy's and Dillard's. Oh, no, that's in addition to whatever she was doing in North Carolina. I can't keep up, okay? I can't keep up, nor should I have to. Nor should I have to, nor should you have to. I think the moral of the story is she's got a bunch of grandnieces that she's taking care of that are out there shoplifting, allegedly, and now they're in all kinds of trouble with the law, and one of them happens to be a fugitive, and guess what? Letitia is giving her cover. Like, how can you do that? How can you have fugitives living in your home? Isn't that some kind of federal offense? Dun-dun-dun, you better believe it is. Take a look at this code, 18 U.S.C. 1071. The offense is whoever harbors or conceals any person for whom a federal arrest warrant has been issued, knowing that such arrest has been issued with the intent to prevent their discovery or arrest. So the question is, did Letitia know that the nieces were in trouble? Did she know that Nakia Thompson had been evading her probation officer in North Carolina and hiding out in Virginia? And if she did, I think that Letitia's got some problems of her own. I mean, hey, this is nothing next to the 60 years that she's going to face for the 2 houses and the alleged mortgage fraud. But you're talking about up to 5 years in federal prison and a fine. If the fugitive is wanted for a misdemeanor, I don't know how you classify these $2,000 worth of Dillard's merchandise, but that would make it a 1 year in prison and a fine. Whoa, I mean, gosh darn it. And we haven't even gotten to the fact, okay? Don't forget that she's out there getting special deals on her mortgages. Like lying on her mortgage applications, allegedly, saying that they are her primary home and in the other case, her secondary home. Whereas in other disclosures, she admitted that these were her income properties. So which is it? At least one of them was an income property. The other was just a mistake. Daily Caller, I love this. A few months ago, they went to Norfolk, Virginia, and they caught up with the ladies living in the houses. Watch.
Hi there. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Goodbye, you're trespassing.
I'm sorry.
Trespassing. My kids are out here.
I understand. We mean no trouble. We're just curious who the occupants of the home are,
Don't
because
worry
there's
about whose occupants. That's none of your business.
well there
You're
are connections to
Okay, but
New
you're
York Attorney
trespassing.
General Letitia
That doesn't
James.
matter. You're trespassing.
Are you related to
You're
Letitia James?
trespassing.
Do you know her?
You're trespassing. Go in the house.
Do you know
You're
Letitia James?
trespassing.
No? Okay.
You're trespassing.
No comment. Thank you,
Don't
ma'am.
pull up to my house no more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good one.
It's gonna be problems. You can
You will.
record all you want.
Be well.
There's a car parked in the driveway.
Hello there, ma'am.
This is the other place.
No comment? Okay, who lives here?
Who lives here, ma'am?
No comment.
Unbelievable. Okay, just really, really awful stuff. So she may be harboring a criminal. She certainly has some questions that need to be addressed in terms of the mortgages themselves. I mean, she's acting all calm. She's acting like, oh, this is all just fine now. Like I said, I suspect somebody got to her because, again, don't forget how unhinged she was just the other day. I'm going to show you like 5 seconds of it.
See, I know what it feels like to be attacked for just doing your job. But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity. And so I stand on solid rock.
Not that solid. No,
And
not that
I
solid.
will not bow.
Yeah, I will not bow, she said, reference to no kings. Anyway, the next morning, she kind of toned it down. What do you think of
I would
this?
say what she said. But first of all, the decision was based on the Administrative Procedure Act, an arbitrary and capricious act by this agency, and an unlawful act. And so too is the indictment. It's baseless. It's nothing more than retribution. Retribution for basically doing my job. For doing my job following a 2-year investigation and a congressional hearing. It wasn't political. It was based on facts.
You were just doing your job? It wasn't political? Are you kidding me? Rocco Media, I know she picked up on that too. Just doing your job. By the way, she's got the same talking points over and over and over again. It's like she's got a script and she's committed it to memory, and she never like budges from that script ever. Don't forget, this is a woman. She said it was not political. I'm not going to bore you with the too male, too pale, too stale, whatever it was, montage that we've watched ad nauseum. But remember this, because it's important when you think about the context around all of this. They were trying to bankrupt him. They were trying to put him in prison. Letitia had her mandate. She was going to seize his assets. She wanted Trump Tower.
Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud. New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Well, Tishy, I gotta ask about this one. The second home rider for that second house, the one that you were calling in other documentation of financial income property, you actually said in this second home rider that it was a second home. It's like your vacation home, right? So the first one you called your primary residence. Oh, just a typo. But what are you going to do on this one? Because I got the document right here, and it says that you're going to use it yourself, that it's not going to turn into a rental thing. So that's kind of peculiar. You know what else is kind of peculiar? Oh, we can go right back to 1983. Take a look at this one. Woohoo! Robert James and Letitia James, his wife. She was his daughter. She was trying to get her dad a mortgage, and so she went on as his wife. And that's the document from 1983. I mean, it seems to me to suggest a pattern of lies. And, I know you're not responsible for your family, but clearly the family thinks that they can just kind of take whatever they're entitled to. Walmart, Macy's, Dillard's. I like your stuff. What can I say, right? I mean, it's very, very bizarre. And then you go back to 1983 and she's putting herself on a mortgage as her dad's wife. And then she's got the primary residence, and then she's got the secondary residence, I'm telling you. And allegedly harboring a fugitive. This is a mess. This is a mess. So, okay, Tish, you can come up with your ICE, new app, which, by the way, Apple had to take down. Google had to take down, don't forget, because that was endangering the lives of ICE agents. But you're going to find yourself in a whole bunch more trouble, as you should. As you should. A quick shout out to one of our great sponsors here on the Trish Regan Show, our friends over at Balance Nature. You know what I like about them? 31 ingredients. And when you look over on the back of the bottle, like how often is this in a supplement where you can actually understand everything that's in there? I mean, I'm no scientist, right? So I like knowing what I'm taking in, what I'm ingesting is actually what's there. And so you'll recognize all the ingredients. They get the fruits and veggies, and they freeze dry them, and they keep the nutrients. And that is what gets delivered directly to you. You get 35% off right now with code word Trish, TRISH. It helps to support the show. So you got to like that, right? And you're helping to support yourself and your own health. So you definitely got to like that. You get also right now, special limited time offer, a bottle of the Fiber and Spice. You also get 35% off with code Trish, TRISH, and a free money back guarantee, plus free shipping. Can't forget that. It all adds up. So go check out balanceofnature.com. Check out all their testimonials right there on the site, balanceofnature.com. Ooh, we have so much news and not enough time. My gosh, did you guys see this gambling story? I think we got to get into that because this is just wild to me. I'm not a huge sports fanatic. My husband watches a lot of sports and I kind of just tolerate it. But he was actually a basketball player, so sometimes this is kind of extra interesting to me. You guys follow the Miami Heat at all? This NBA story is wild. Take a look.
All right, some breaking news is catching everybody by surprise. The FBI arresting NBA player Terry Rozier early this morning in connection with a widespread sports betting investigation. And he's not the only one.
This is huge news. Nate Ford joins us live from Brooklyn with the latest. Good morning, Nate.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Yeah, breaking news that is sure to rock the sports world. You mentioned Terry Rozier, and he's not the only one. Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers and a multi-time All-Star, a Finals MVP back in his playing days, also arrested this morning as part of an FBI investigation into illegal sports gambling. Now, Rozier, he was arrested in Orlando this morning And he was there because the Miami Heat played the Orlando Magic last night. Rozier was active for that game, but he did not play as part of a coach's decision. Now, this all comes after the Wall Street Journal reported back in January that Rozier was under federal investigation related to a 2023 game back when he played for the Charlotte Hornets, where there was a surge of suspicious gambling activity related to the under on his performance with points, rebounds, and assists in a game where Rozier ended up leaving after about 10 minutes with an ankle injury. So the Wall Street Journal report detailed it so that it appeared that perhaps Rozier was accused of changing his performance in the game in order for other people to make money on his bets or on their bets. Now, this is part of an investigation that also landed a lifetime ban for Jonte Porter, a former Toronto Raptors player who pleaded guilty to his role. He's awaiting sentencing in December. We are expecting a news conference here at 10 o'clock with FBI Director Kash Patel and Joe Nocella, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. So we will be covering that throughout the morning. Big news rocking the sports world. We'll send it back to you guys.
Big news. And a coach was involved. It's just awful. Absolutely awful. I mean, it takes like all the fun out of sports, right? To think that that could be happening. And it probably, I hate to say it, might happen more often than you think. Unfortunately, some pretty perverse incentives for people to do these things. I want to go to the FBI press conference. You can see Kash. He's not taking center stage on this one. He's letting the assistant head of the FBI there in New York do all the talking, but you can see him right alongside there. You know what? It's kind of good that the FBI can go after things that they should be going after, as opposed to, say, trying to find all those Catholics going to Mass in Latin, or anybody who goes to a school board meeting and gets a little upset because people that were originally born as males are allowed to compete against people that are females.
3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York.
Wow. Like, I didn't even know there really was a mafia anymore. Right? There is, but like, wow. So this is just amazing. And congrats to our FBI once again, out there doing its job. Kind of nice to see, right? Because, it's been kind of hard sometimes with all these other things going on. Which reminds me, before I get to this ballroom, which is really kind of a big deal, I want to tell you about something else that's been happening right now. And we've been talking about it a little bit on the show. And that's been my concern about regulators. Regulators and all they've been doing to kind of get in the way of you and your ability to get a bank account. We've been talking about this as it relates to what we have seen going on over the last several years. And it's worth mentioning again, because under the Obama and Biden administration, regulators out there were pressuring banks to close accounts for industries and individuals that they didn't like. This politically motivated debanking, it really trampled on our everyday rights, right? Freedoms of American businesses and citizens, putting government in the business of punishing people it didn't disagree with, because regulators were making these calls and these decisions. Thankfully, President Trump has taken decisive action here. He has signed an executive order. He's called out these bad regulators who abuse their power, and he's making it clear that debanking is over. Once and for all. Those who abuse their power, they are going to pay the price. But we need more than that. We need reform. We need reform that requires more order, and it's going to require Congress to act. And that is why Americans for Free Markets is thanking President Trump. And we love that they're doing that. And I'm thanking President Trump as well, alongside them here, for standing up for freedom and urging Congress to follow his lead. Together, What can be done is we can all establish a national fair access standard to prevent services from being denied based on political, social, or religious views. You don't want these regulators in the way. Instead, you want clarity, you want consistency, and long overdue accountability to our financial regulation. So protect the financial freedom. You want to protect the financial freedom of every single American. To do that, we need Congress to work with President Trump and his leadership to update these outdated laws, codify his executive order. Americans for Free Markets is calling on Congress to ensure that the abuse of power from these regulators cannot happen again. You can learn more at freemarkets.com. Again, that's freemarkets.com. Whoopi Goldberg is really upset about the ballroom that's going in. Well, maybe because she knows she won't get an invite. Or if she did, she wouldn't really have much to wear. Did you see what she wore to the Emmys? Anyway, I digress. Whoopi's upset, you see, because she thinks that somehow we taxpayers are going to have to pay for this beautiful thing. He's made it clear that's not the case. He already has all the funding lined up. He's also said if for some reason the funding didn't get lined up, heck, he'd pay for it himself. Don't tell Whoopi. Again.
Your taxes are probably going to be paying for that.
That tacky ballroom.
I mean, it's kind of kooky.
No, you know what's kooky? You trying to lie, because Donald Trump has said over and over and over again, he's got private funding for the thing. And by the way, it's pretty. Just saying. You know. Just saying. I could be mean, but I won't, because we're talking about Whoopi. Did you see her new hairstyle? I think she needs to go back to the hairdresser a few rounds. Anyway, the reality is they're always spinning there. This is the same woman that told you he's sending the National Guard into places like Chicago so that he can steal the election. I mean, this is bonkers stuff, okay? And now, despite the fact that he's like, I get all the funding for this thing, I get all the funding I need, and if for some reason something falls through, you know what, I'm going to fund it myself because we deserve a decent ballroom, right? You look at all the other presidents. They've done all kinds of renovations over the years. I mean, one that got me, I think Nixon put in a bowling alley. Yeah, I mean, they all got their thing, right? You know, a ballroom's kind of nice because you want to entertain leaders of the world and have a nice space to do it. Anyway, the media is like all worked up about this. They like can't let it go. And so now they're like, oh, but you're destroying a national treasure. Trust me, I've been in the White House. Do you have any idea how much it is in need of massive renovation? I mean, it's bonkers how bad it is. Thankfully, he did actually just renovate the Oval Office, which is great. But like, if you go to the rest of the like Oval Office, it's bad, guys. I mean, there's this like little hallway off of the office. There's like this little closet. Apparently, he told me Clinton used to work in there, or used to visit with Monica in there. He uses it as a closet. And then you go into this other room that's like effectively like a dining room. There's like this old dining room table. It had like this weird lace cloth on it. He's like apologizing to me. He's like, yeah, you know, the place is kind of run down. It's totally run down. So he now wants to get the private funding. He got the private funding to put the ballroom in. And you'd think, you know, he needs an act of Congress to do this one. Take a look at the reporters attacking Caroline, but she shoots them all down. 1, 2, 3.
He can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly, I mean,
that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years. And no, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat, to show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902. Look at this, the construction of the West Terrace in 1902. These images look quite similar to what you and the American people are seeing today, the construction of the East Terrace as well. You look at the construction of the West Wing expansion in 1934. So look, this is a legal opinion that's been held for many years. Look at, this is 1950. That looks a lot like what you were seeing today.
Can he demolish anything he wants?
What do you think that rubble is? How did that rubble get there?
Right, so I'm asking, and then back to the donor.
Go ahead, Regan.
Unbelievable. So The View gets caught in yet another lie. We wonder where their fact checkers are. Weren't they supposed to have those on The View? What happened to those? Those little legal notes that they read. Yeah, maybe they figure why bother. The FCC is going to go after them anyway. They should. Brendan, pay attention. Brendan Carr, I know you're doing an investigation into ABC. I would look really, really hard at this show. I know you probably are. I'm just saying it again. Right. Speaking of which, I wanted to get to CNN, but we are on a short schedule today. So I've got some new news to report to you on CNN and this merger that they're trying to get together. CNN doesn't want to actually sell, but they may not have a choice at this point, which means you're going to be looking at some reduced salaries for some of those anchors. They're freaking out. That's why Jake Tapper was suddenly sounding all conservative. You know, I told you he's looking for his next gig at Fox. Great to have you all here. I appreciate everything you guys do. Believe me, including all your generosity. I'm seeing some of the special stickers and that kind of thing here. So I really appreciate everything that you guys do. Peace of my mind. I'm just looking at one of your notes from earlier in the show. What am I saying? Letitia's not able to marry her father? Yeah, no. Not in this country, okay? Not in this country. Thank you very much. Don Becca, you did not get a notification again? You know, the last 2 days, we've been kind of seeing some softness. So listen, guys, like it. Pass it along. Make a comment. I do read the comments even after the show. So if you're catching this past the live, make a comment below, even just to say hi, Trish, because all of this counts for the algorithm. It all plays into the success of the show. So please do whatever you can, and I will see you right back here live. Woo! I keep hitting this mic. Maybe it's a little too high in my face today. I will see you right back here live tomorrow. Thank you for all of it.